And I, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on supplements because, well, I know there's some supplements that you recommend, but I feel as though some of the conversations I have, there's maybe an overhype on supplements and an under focus on the things that you've been teaching us in this conversation, that whole foods, just natural foods, that whole food diet, essentially. I guess as a start point, there's two questions there. What are your thoughts on that? Is there an overhype on what supplements are capable of doing without a focus on this other stuff? Or are they really that good in a world where I've heard a lot of the soil is undernourished and we're just not able to get even the best nutrients from the so-called highest quality food?
Yeah, it's a very interesting subject, this. And ultimately, I would just say to people, a supplement is a tool. You know, if you think that it's going to replace a healthy diet, then you're massively wrong. It's something you do as well as, okay? It's called a supplement. It's supplementing a good diet. As a clinical practitioner, I'm using supplements all the time. When I'm working with patients, if there's specific issues that I need to address, you've got to remember that vitamins, minerals, trace elements, phytochemicals, these are biochemical facilitators. So in the body, they either make something happen or they make something that makes something happen. So they regulate every conceivable chemical reaction in our body. And as such, the application of supplements, when you know what you're doing, can elicit a therapeutic effect in a very similar way that a drug can. You know, it can reduce a certain chemical pathway. It can activate a certain chemical pathway. It can manipulate biochemical events. In that context, in that respect, they're incredibly powerful. And they're things that I use in clinic all of the time for that exact reason. In terms of general use, obviously with those kind of specific nutrients used in that way, that needs to be delivered under the guidance of a practitioner, absolutely. Because do not think for a second that just because something is natural, that it can't do any damage. Hell yeah, it can. I mean, just try hemlock, for example. Then when it comes to the general use, I would say that touching on what you brought up, because there's no way of absolutely guaranteeing the amount of nutrients that are in our food, a good daily multivitamin, certainly in this part of the world, probably less of an issue for you guys, a good vitamin D supplement, because in the UK, the sun is a rumour. It's either that or it's so hot and muggy that we're just like, make it stop. It's just like there's no middle ground. Do you know what I mean? We can't, you know, we just can't win. But so vitamin D is certainly one to think about. And then omega-3 fatty acids, the long chain omega-3 fatty acids, I do strongly recommend that people supplement with those as well, just because of that inflammatory management stuff and because they're so important for so many different body systems. Those three nutrients, those three supplements, sorry, because one is obviously a multi, won't do any harm, won't cause any issues, and are a good idea for most people. Then we move into another thing that you touched on, which was some of the claims. Now, this is where things can get comical at times. You look at some of these supplements that are out there that basically, if you believe kind of half the things that are written about them, you know, like they make you fly or walk on water or eat bullets. Do you know what I mean? It's like okay, there's a lot of hyperbole here because people are just trying to sell the product. It's like, you know, this will stop you aging. This will put hairs on your chest, whatever. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of nonsense there, and it's very difficult for people to separate fact from fiction. I would say if it sounds like it's the answer to everything, then that's a giant red flag. And if it's kind of sounds like it's blown out of proportion, then it probably has been. But in simple terms, yes, supplements are a very, very useful tool in the right context, in the right application, and you have to have the right kind of expectation from it as well. If you're expecting it to be the answer to all your problems, then you're going to be disappointed. Yeah. But if you know that there's a specific reason that you're taking it, and certainly in the context how I prescribe them to people, it's part of the therapeutic plan, then I know that we're taking it to achieve a certain objective, then that's obviously where they come into their own.